Are your pepper plants just sad? You see those yellow leaves, the droopy posture, the stunted growth, but it feels like you're getting mixed signals. A wilting plant might be thirsty, or it could be drowning. Yellow leaves, shoot, that could be a dozen different things. It feels like you need to be a mind reader just to keep these things alive. But what if you could read these signs? What if you knew exactly what your plant was telling you and how to fix it instantly? Today, I'm going to show you how to diagnose and solve the top 5 problems that are trying to kill your pepper plants. We're going to cut through all this confusion, and by the end of this, you won't be guessing. You'll have a clear, step-by-step rescue plan to bring these plants back from the dying and get them thriving again. First up, let's be real. This is the big one, problem with watering. More specifically, imbalance. Either too much or too little. The maddening part about it is, both overwatering and underwatering can make your plant look identical. Sad, droopy, and wilted. So how do we tell the difference? You've got to become a soil detective. Don't just look at the plant. Get your hands dirty. The best way to know is to do the finger test. Push your index finger down in the soil right beside the stem. What it tells you is everything your soil needs. Is it bone dry like this? Is it crusty? Well, then it's just thirsty. They're wilting because they're losing water faster than these roots can pull it up. The fix is a deep, thorough watering. Don't just sprinkle the surface with water. Water it slowly at the base until you see it start running out of the drainage hose if you've got a potted plant, or until this garden bed is completely soaked several inches down. This encourages roots to grow deep, and it should be perking these things up within a few hours. But what if you do this finger test and the soil feels soggy or waterlogged? Well, if your plant is still wilting in wet soil, you've got much bigger problems, and that is overwatering. I know it's counterintuitive, but it is a plant killer. Roots need oxygen, and when the soil gets saturated, water fills those air pockets, literally suffocating these plants and these roots. Suffocating roots can't absorb water, so the plant wilts even though it's sitting in a puddle. This is a fast lane to root rot, a fungal disease that will turn your roots to black mush. The rescue plan for an overwatered plant is an immediate stop, drop, and drain. First, stop watering. Don't even think about it until the top few inches of soil are dry. If it's in a pot, just gently tip it over and help that excessive water escape. Get some air flowing around the base of the plant and those roots. If you suspect severe root rot, you might get a musty smell, and it is a horrible smell from that soil. There's also ways of saving it if it's in a pot, but if it's in the ground, chances are likely a little more slim. From now on, use that finger test as your best friend. It's going to prevent the vast majority of pepper problems before they even start. The second reason your peppers might be struggling is simple heat and sun stress. Peppers love the warmth, but they do not do well in temperatures when they climb above 90 degrees Fahrenheit or 32 Celsius. They can get seriously stressed. The most obvious sign is wilting during the day, during the hottest part of the day. The leaves are going to droop dramatically in that afternoon sun, even if the soil is perfectly moist. But here's a key clue. The plant often looks great again the next morning. It just couldn't keep up with the moisture loss during that hottest part of the day, but managed to catch up overnight. Another major symptom of heat stress is flower drop, and you see this a lot in July. Plants decide the conditions are too harsh to make fruit, so it cuts its losses and aborts those flowers as a survival mechanism. If you see a carpet of tiny flowers on the ground during this heat wave or during that afternoon, this is what's happening. The fix for heat stress, it's all about providing relief. If your plants are in pots, simply move them somewhere where they're getting a lot of that morning sun, but they're shaded from that brutal afternoon glare. If they're in the ground, create some shade for them. A simple shade cloth that blocks 30 to 50% of the sun is a lifesaver, and you can get these on Amazon for almost nothing. Even if you rig up a solution with a light colored sheet on some stakes, anything like that. Also, watering smart is a huge difference. During the hot spells, water deeply in the morning, and this gives your plants a full tank of water to get through the day. And a fantastic gardener move is apply about 2 to 3 inches of mulch like straw or wood chips around those plants. Mulch is like a blanket for the soil. It keeps it cooler, and it also helps lock that moisture in. And this makes your plants way more resilient to the heat. Alright, a quick break here. If you're finding this helpful, do me a favor, hit that subscribe button. My goal here is to help more people successfully grow, and every new subscriber helps this channel do just that. Thanks. Now let's get back to saving those peppers. Okay, so let's decode reason number 3, and that's a nutrient deficiency. This is where most gardeners often get overwhelmed because yellowing leaves can seem so mysterious. But here's the secret. Where are the leaves turning yellow tells you a very specific story. Just make sure you already ruled out watering and heat stress, since those are actually the most common. Now, the most common nutrient issue is peppers is nitrogen deficiency. Nitrogen is mobile, meaning the plant can move nitrogen from the old leaves up to the new ones. If your plant is low on nitrogen, it's actually going to steal the nitrogen from these lower leaves and feed the new top upon growth. The bottom leaves will turn pale yellow uniformly. The top of the plant, well, it's going to look brand new and good. If you see yellow leaves from the bottom up, your plant is screaming for nitrogen. The fix is a simple, balanced, all-purpose nitrogen. But what if the new leaves at the top of the plant are yellow? This points to an immobile nutrient deficiency, and that's like iron or magnesium. The plant cannot move these from the old leaves, so the new growth actually suffers first for a magnesium deficiency. For a magnesium deficiency, you're often going to see the veins of the leaves stay green, while the area in between all those veins actually start to turn yellow. This is a classic trick to use Epsom salt. Epsom salt, mix about a tablespoon or so of Epsom salt to a gallon of water and just water your plant with it. Finally, the dreaded blossom end rot. And like here, we've got that on this one here. This isn't a disease, but it's a calcium related issue that creates dark, luscious green spots on the bottom of your peppers. But here is the twist. 90% of the time, it's almost always caused by inconsistent watering. And that inconsistent watering keeps that plant from absorbing the calcium. Usually the fix isn't adding more calcium, but to ensure that you're watering deep and consistently, and always use mulch to keep that soil moisture even. All right, reason number 4 could be a silent invasion of tiny pests. These critters can literally suck the life out of your plants. They can cause them to turn yellow, stunt the growth, and weirdly distorted looking foliage. Often you won't even spot them unless you know where to look. Time to put that detective hat back on and get to work. The number 1 rule of pest hunting is to look on the underside of the leaves. This is a secret hideout that pests like aphids, spider mites, and whiteflies, they love to congregate. See any of these tiny pear-shaped insects, maybe green or black? Those are aphids. They're basically tiny plant vampires that suck the sap, and they leave behind a sticky honeydew that can actually lead to mold. Or do you see this fine looking dust webbing? If you look closer, those microscopic moving little dots are spider mites, another sap sucker that loves hot, dry weather. The great news is you don't need harsh chemicals. The first line of defense is simply blasting water from your hose to knock them off. For more persistent problems, use neem oil. It is another excellent organic pesticide, and that messes with the pest life cycle. Always spray these early in the morning though, never in the direct sun. That way you can avoid burning those leaves. And finally, the fifth reason your pepper plants are dying might be a full-blown disease. This is usually the most serious category, but don't panic. Getting the ID right is key to knowing whether you can actually save the plant or if you need to remove it to protect its neighbors. Many diseases mimic a water or nutrient problem, so make sure that you have ruled these out first. One of the most common pepper plant disease is bacterial leaf spot. It shows up as a small water-soaked spot on the leaf. It usually turns it dark brown or black, and it often has this little yellow halo around it. This bacteria loves wet, humid conditions, and it often spreads with water that splashes from the soil underneath the leaves. Another common enemy is powdery mildew, and that's a fungus that looks just like its name, a white dusty powder on the leaves. It usually starts on the lower leaves first. It blocks the sunlight and can actually weaken that plant tremendously. For any suspected disease, your first step is sanitation. Immediately remove and destroy any affected leaves or branches. Do not compost them. That just spreads the problem. Pruning to improve the airflow is also a huge help, since damp, stagnant conditions are breeding grounds for fungus. So there you have it, the 5 reasons your pepper plants are sending out that SOS. So let's do a quick recap. First, always check the watering with your finger test. It's the most common problem. Second, watch that afternoon wilting and that flower drop. Well, this right here is a heat stress signal. Provide shade cloth and mulch. Third, yellowing leaves. Usually starting at the bottom means more nitrogen. Fourth, be a pest detective. Check the undersides of the leaves for invaders like aphids and treat them with simple organic solutions. And fifth, identify and manage disease with good sanitation and smart prevention. Gardening is a learning process, and your plants are always talking to you. Now, you have the tools to understand what they're talking and their language. You know how to figure out what the problem is, and most importantly, you have a clear plan to fix it. Don't get discouraged by struggling plants. See it as a chance to learn and become an even better gardener. Now, I want to hear from you. Which of these 5 problems have you battled the most in your garden either this year or in previous years? Let me know down in the comments because I read every single one. And don't forget to hit that subscribe button and hit that bell notification to get notified when I put out a new video. We all get better by sharing our experiences. Thanks for watching, and like always, keep it growing.